So how much time do salespeople lose composing the same email over and over again? There's really a simple solution to this, and that's templates within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for sales. And I'm going to walk through that in this video. So the issue is, I guess, that there are emails we send out all of the time. That might be outreach emails, it might be lead acknowledgement, it might be covers for quotes that we're sending out. It might be to stay in touch with customers. But a lot of the time, and I'm guilty of this, we compose that email from scratch each time. And, that takes time. And it's time that's not spent selling, I guess. That's one element to it. But the other is that not everybody is the most gifted of writers. So what gets sent out isn't always optimum. So within Dynamics, you've got the ability to store a library of email templates. It's a feature that people don't use very often, but it can give you a real edge. So let's go into the system, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm actually in the back end of the system at the moment, and I'm in the business area, and you can see I'm in a section called templates. And there are a number of different template types in the system. Now I'm going to talk about email templates, but there are document templates as well, which may be equally applicable. But let's look at email templates. If I click on that, I go into the system and it shows me all the email templates that are in the system. Now these are Microsoft's out-of-the-box ones. They're unlikely to be too much use for you because everybody's business and their business processes are different. But this is what comes out of the box. Now, if I wanted to add a new one, you can see I've got a plus new button at the top here, so I just click on that. I'm going to give that a template name of RB test. I can make it individual to me or an organization-wide template, and I'm going to make it organization-wide. And then I'm going to talk about what category it applies to. And I actually want it to apply to emails we send to contacts or people. And it's picked up the default language, which is fine. If I click Create Now, it's going to bring up this dialog. I could give a description to that if I wanted to make it easy for people to look at a glance at that list and see which one, what this particular template relates to. I'm going to give it a test subject. I was just going to say test. And then you can see we've got this area where we can compose the body. Now, I'm actually going to say hi, and what's important here, we can insert dynamic text. So it's effectively merging data from records within Dynamics. So I'm going to put in first names here. So I'm going to put insert dynamics text, and I want the record type I'm looking at to be contact, and then I need to find the relevant field, which I'm going to scroll down to because I want to put in first name. There we go. And I'm going to insert that, and then for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to put this is our test. But obviously we can add as many words and many paragraphs as we want, and as many merge fields as we want to include within that. So for the sake of brevity and simplicity, I'll add no more than that. If I save and close that now, that is saved. You can see that further down my list, my RB test one. And let's show that now in action in the system. So if I go to a contact record, Yvonne's contact record in this particular case, and I go to the timeline and I want to add an activity, in this case an email activity, I just go to the plus, click on that, and I can now add an email, and I'm sending that email to Yvonne, but I've got the ability at the top here to insert a template. So if I click insert template, and I can search through this, let's say RB test, which is the one I created earlier, select that, and you can see it's just previewing it for me. Hi Yvonne, this is a test. Apply the template. I can now send out that email using that template. Now if I want to adapt it You know, it doesn't have to go out exactly as I created the template. If I want to adapt it and say this is a test record, then I can do that. So there's some flexibility around that if we want to. Now that's the system templates. What you also have is the ability as a user to create your own personal templates, and they operate in exactly the same way. So to do that, you need to just go to the cog at the top of the screen here to settings, select personalization settings. You can see on the tabs across the top here, you have something called email templates. If I want to create a new template, I can choose a template type, which in this case would be contact, and OK that, and you can see we get exactly the same dialogue as we showed earlier, or pretty much exactly the same dialogue earlier, where we can create our own template, save it, store it, and use it moving forward. So as I say, it's an underused feature. Strangely enough, I guess it's not particularly exciting, it's not particularly innovative, but it does give you a potential edge. It does effectively save people time, and that adds up to more selling time, and it does mean that you probably get a higher quality of message going out and gives you a chance to try and optimize that messaging so it's as effective as possible. So I'd certainly recommend people use templates. It's quick and easy to set up, and it does have a benefit. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. It's one in a series of videos we've done specifically on Dynamics 365 related matters. Check out the rest of the channel for those. Also, if you've got any suggested content ideas, need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, check out the links below. Anyway, thanks very much for your time today, and hopefully see you again soon.